it's Leo and it's time to talk about the second episode of Delicious Party PreCure, which felt to me kind of different than the first one. In the first one, we had a very frenetic episode with so many things happening and lots of things being introduced, and the second one took a different approach. It was way slower and the pacing was different. It's to be understandable since the first episode was the introduction, so there was a lot to introduce. This second one is starting to flesh out things a little more, and I absolutely love the pacing. I think that in PreCure we have a year to develop the characters, the story, the world, and everything else, and I feel like Delicious Party is really taking its time to flesh out all the things that will make this a very grand story. In this episode we had Rosemary, and Rosemary was awesome once more. There's so much to say, and there are also theories that I want to share. But I'm going to start by talking about the narrator. The narrator, the person who is narrating the story, the voice actor who is narrating the story is the same as Yui's grandmother's voice actor. So they're both the same person. I don't know if the narrator is supposed to be Yui's grandmother or if they're just being voiced by the same voice actor. I don't know, but Yui's grandmother has appeared in the first and in the second episode, both of them as memories. So I believe it's her that is narrating the story. But what I want to say right now is that I am absolutely loving the introduction of a narrator to a PreCure series. It is working so well. In this episode, it worked brilliantly. And it's not like she's only narrating the start and the end of the episode. No, she makes important narrations in the middle of the episode as well. And it's not overwhelming. She doesn't appear lots of times. She doesn't narrate lots of things. But when she does, it's so interesting. So right at the start, we see Rosemary talking to Cooking. I love his name, with Hardcore Watch. And we also see the Cook Queen and the guy who is called Flannel, if I'm not mistaken. Fennel? I forgot his name already, but he is handsome and he has a green costume, so I'm on the lookout for that character. I hope he is going to be an interesting one, even though his interaction with Rosemary was a little weird. He said your stone, it seems to be broken. Are you going to be okay? He didn't really seem concerned about Rosemary at all with his facial expression and his tone of voice. He did not seem concerned about Rosemary, but let's see where this will lead us. So we had a nice talk between Rosemary and Yui. Rosemary introduced lots of things about the PreCure world to Yui at the start and also cooking them and everything. And another thing, not only at this starting point, but in the whole episode, there were so many faces, so many mean faces. And again, this keeps on surprising me because I did not expect Delicious Party to have this chaotic aspect. And I am living for this. I thought that this was going to be more of a laid-back season. It is definitely not. The chaos is all there. Everything seems to be so well tied together. For example, we have Yui, we have Takumi, and we have Rosemary. Those are the three main characters right now, I believe. I mean, not Takumi, not as much, but he is related to the story somehow. We see Takumi looking at Rosemary and recognizing him, and Rosemary looking at him and saying, aren't you someone? And Rosemary didn't really remember, so I'm very, very curious to his identity. What is going on here? I am so curious. Oh my god. And Rosemary, Takumi definitely knows who Rosemary is, but Rosemary does not remember who Takumi is. So Takumi is the one who is hiding the information. He probably has summed 2 + 2, and he knows that Yui is Cure Precious. He probably knows that Yui is working with Rosemary and everything else. When I said things are very well tied together, Yui's house is close to Takumi's house. And Takumi and Yui, childhood friends. But let's add Rosemary to the equation. How? Takumi's family have housekeeping. There's a name for that. I totally forgot. It's an inn. It's kind of like a hotel. It's a place that you can stay. So Rosemary is gonna stay there. By doing this, they add Rosemary to both Yui's and Takumi's circle. So that was very interesting, and that was a very nice and easy way to do that. When Rosemary was introducing himself, it was very, very amazing. That awesome, flawless, perfect reference to Heart Cache PreCure. He introduced himself as a Heart Cache PreCure cure. How amazing was that? But I'm gonna skip lots of things now because I really want to talk about one specific thing. So we see Yui introducing Komi to her mom and asking for her to let Komi stay at their house, and Rosemary's relationship to Komi as well, and why Komi was staying there. And we see Yui's callback to her childhood when she helped a stray cat and she nurtured the cat and she befriended the cat. Again, with her grandmother in the equation. This flashback was very important to give Yui more depth as a character and more reasoning to her personality. That trace of her personality is one of the things that make Yui super strong. So I loved that. So we have Yui being the one who is going to fight, and Rosemary cannot fight because the delicious stone was broken. So Rosemary was super worried, and Yui was so excited and so happy that she was able to fight for Rosemary and everything. But that triggered something in Rosemary, and that made him snap at Yui because there is a trauma there. There is something hiding underneath Rosemary. So here comes my theory. Yui was talking about fighting as Cure Precious, and she's going to give it her all. It's going to be very easy. It's going to be very fun. But Rosemary said that fighting is not that easy. Fighting is hard. Fighting is not something to be taken lightly, which Yui kind of was, but Yui is driven. Yui is responsible. We can see that in her already, but Rosemary just got to know her, and he seems to have this past trauma with him. At the same time, Rosemary was, not at the same time, but Rosemary was watching Yui's mom and both of their relations, the relationship between Yui and her mom. So Rosemary was watching that, and in this scene, Rosemary told Yui, cherish your mother. Your mother is amazing. The relationship you both have is amazing. Cherish her. Tied to the trauma he has. So right now, I believe that Rosemary's mom was the legendary PreCure, and because of the fighting, something happened to her. Because of her being a PreCure, something happened to her in the past. Because we have the two things happening at the same time in the same dialogue. The fact that he is scared for Yui fighting, and the fact that he likes her relationship with her mother. And he told her to cherish this relationship. So both things are related for sure. I am shook, but this is my theory. Rosemary's mom was the legendary cure of this season. So Rosemary just goes on a walk, but he actually doesn't go on a walk. He runs away. And when he does, Yui finds out because there's a letter that he left for her. And I love Takumi's mother design. I love it. At the same time, Gentile is attacking, and we see Gentile, this time she attacks a karaage restaurant, which is fried chicken. It looked so delicious, and so far, that is my favorite recipe. It's very cute. It's very, very cute. So when she does, we see everybody running away. She creates an ubauzo, and when she does, Takumi is there. He is watching everything, and Rosemary just creates a delicious field right in front of Takumi. Rosemary cannot really fight, but he can still use some sort of magical powers because he can still create the delicious field, and he tries to fight by himself. It was so cool seeing him fight like that. oh my god, it was like, okay, he was not really being able to fight, but you know, seeing that he can still defy gravity in a way, it's very fun to watch that. And Rosemary, I love you. And Yui was able to know what was going on because of the Hard Cure watch, so she went on to fight and help Rosemary get the SCPP back. Rosemary did not want Yui to fight, but she went on anyways. Takumi was not shown in this scene, but there were two important characters that were shown. First, we see Ran, who is going to become one of the cures in the future, and she was there eating karage and she was posting pictures on the internet. This is probably an important trace of her personality. And when Yui was going towards the SCPP, she passed in front of Pretty Holic, which we got to know in Tropical-Rouge PreCure as a very interesting makeup shop. It was one of the bases of the Tropical-Rouge girls in Tropical-Rouge. So now it's appearing again in Delicious Party PreCure, and we were able to see Kokone, who is also going to become another cure. So I'm really liking how they're able to put those characters there. Just a little bit. You know, they're just giving us a little flavor before they arrive. And Delicious Party is taking its time to introduce them. So I'm really enjoying the pacing, as I said before. So when Yui gets to the Delicious field, something very interesting happened. So we see Rosemary trying to take Kome Kome and not let Kome Kome go, but you know, Yui doesn't care. So she just comes and transforms into Cure Precious. In the first episode, we see a very short fighting scene. It was interesting, but it was very short. As I said in the beginning, the first episode was packed with things. Lots of things happening. And in this episode, we had more time for stuff. So the fighting scene of this episode was way more interesting than the first one, in my opinion, even though it didn't have that amazing reference to Futari wa PreCure. But this was very good. We see Cure Precious just jumping on the fray and trying. She was not being able to succeed in her techniques, and Rosemary was like scared of what could happen. So she was like having a hard time, so Rosemary came in and opened up his heart to her. I really loved that scene. It was awesome. And Precious also opened up her heart to him because she shared that lesson that her grandmother gave her, and that's something that makes her so strong, that's something that makes her so special. So absolutely loved that moment between both of them, and I really loved that Rosemary was able to trust Precious. He was able to not overcome his trauma, but give her the benefit of the doubt and let her fight, and he wouldn't let her fight by herself. Even if he doesn't have the stone, he's still going to do something. He's still going to try, even though he doesn't have those big magical powers that she showed in the first episode. So it's very nice that it seems that Rosemary is going to take the technician role of this season. Past season, it was kind of like Cure Papaya. This time, it's going to be Rosemary. Oh my god, I'm going to love that, because he created a special technique. Cure Precious just wants to go in and jump on the fray and get that SCPP back. It's not going to be like that. No, not this time. Rosemary created a technique for them to go in and defeat the monster. Important things to notice. First, when Gentile was attacking, she started to notice how Cure Precious acted. And she was very clear in saying that Cure Precious moves just like someone else. So I believe she was referencing Rosemary's mother, the legendary Cure, and who got defeated in battle. She probably saw that somehow. Gentile seems to be very young, so this might not have happened that long ago. I don't know. And there was also something very interesting at the start of the episode with the Bundle Gang, which is the reasoning behind the big villain. The big villain just wants to gather all the recipes in the world. For what? We have no idea. But the villains are working very hard to make this happen. And I love how serious but goofy they are. Like, at the same time, they are both things. I absolutely love the two villains we have so far. I cannot wait to see Secret Toru attacking. I'm pretty sure her animation is going to be as amazing as Gentailu's animation. And so we have a very interesting fighting scene with both Precious and Rosemary fighting together and creating a little technique to help Precious defeat this monster. Oh my god, it was awesome. I loved it a lot. I mean, it was not grand, but it was way better than the first episode. And usually the first episodes have awesome battles. So I liked this episode's battle more. And there was also something interesting that Gentailu said. Like, when they were there fighting, she was like, finale, right now. Like, she was really telling Bilbaozo to give the finale shot. But girl, I'm sorry. It just didn't happen the way you wanted, because the legendary PreCure was able to save the day once more. And another thing is that at the end, we could see Rosemary giving Yui the glass. Very nice that it seems to represent friendship in Cookingdom. Probably something you give to a friend of yours. So that's why Rosemary gave it to Yui. Now they're friends, now they are companions, they're going to fight together for a simple and same goal. And he gave that to her. And the glass looks really beautiful in animation. Loved it. And that last scene was so cool. There were so many things. There was like Komekome getting in the watch and Rosemary trying the karage fairy recipe being able to be seen better because of the watch. Komekome is so cute. And Yui and Rosemary shaking hands. Oh my god. But I want to talk about something else, which is Rosemary. In this episode, we see Rosemary in lots of different ways and lots of different facets of his personality. But one of the things that I said when I saw Rosemary for the first time was that I was a little scared. Usually when effeminate characters are going to appear in shows, I get very scared for them to be only caricatures and jokes towards gay people or towards men who are effeminate. But I believe that they are going to do Rosemary so much justice. You know, I mean, there are lots of effeminate people in the world. I consider myself to be one of them. And I think sometimes, or most times, maybe in the past, those types of people were shown in TV shows and anime and series and everything just to be mocked and to be laughed at. In Rosemary's case, it is totally different. He is allowed to be effeminate, to be funny, to be sad, to be angry, to fight, and to be a protector and to be protected. He is everything. And he is allowed to be this way. You know, at the end of the episode, when Rosemary was, talking about his secrets, his beauty secrets, Yui's mom was super interested in that. And he was able to show and talk about it. We've seen him talking about it in the first episode. He didn't have the opportunity to do so. Now he does. And when he does, he blossoms. He loves sharing that. And the show doesn't make a mockery out of it. So I find that so heartwarming. I love that. And I also love the fact that they are letting Rosemary be pretty. Rosemary is a symbol of beauty in Delicious Party PreCure so far. He likes makeup. He likes talking about makeup. He introduces himself as a pretty flower, a pretty rose. I don't remember exactly, but he introduces himself this way. And he is allowed to be that. So you can be pretty. No matter who you are, you can be pretty. I love this. Thank you so much, PreCure, Delicious Party. I am already in love. I am already sold. How are you feeling about Delicious? I'm very excited. Next episode, we're going to see Pum Pum, and we're going to see Kokone too, even though Cure Spicy is not going to arrive yet. I'm very excited for Cure Spicy, but not yet. Anyways, I'm liking this pacing, as I said. They're taking their time, and I'm enjoying it. I am living for Delicious already. Girl, what a great season. Anyways, guys, how did you feel about the second episode of Delicious Party PreCure? Leave in the comments. Let's keep talking. Do you also have theories about Rosemary's past? What happened to him to be afraid of battles like he is? What's going on? I shared mine. Please share yours in the comment box below. Anyways, guys, I just want to take this little time to thank the members of the Magical Cinnamon channel. If you are a member, thank you very, very much for your support. Thank you very much for standing by Magical Cinnamon. And if you've watched up until now, thank you so much as well. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, bye bye.